A few years ago, I covered Ape Escape on the PS1 and immediately fell in love with it. I highly recommend you take a look at that video first before continuing this one, because today we are going to be taking a look at Ape Escape 2 on the PlayStation 2 and see just how catching those apes really translates to the next generation of consoles. Let's take a look.
Ape Escape 2 was released for the PlayStation 2 in 2002 in Japan, with the US release coming a year later in 2003. Somewhat early for the PlayStation 2, but released well enough into the console's lifespan. I'm playing the original release here, but this game also received a digital release on PlayStation Network. And with Ape Escape 2, this is actually the third Ape Escape game that was released, as Japan got Pipu Saru 2001, which is really a different type of game where you're trying to do laundry or collect pants. I don't know.
In this game, you have your vacuum, and you're going towards all these monkeys that are running rampant across the land, and you're trying to suck up their pants. The reason why you're sucking the pants off these monkeys is because they've been naughty monkeys, and you've got to throw them all in the laundry machine.
Ape Escape 2 is the proper sequel here, and one that we got, of course, before the slew of other spin-offs released in subsequent years. This was developed by a different team that worked on Ape Escape 1, and most notably absent here is Ape Escape 1 composer Soichi Terada. The soundtrack in Ape Escape 2 isn't terrible, but it lacks a certain high-energy punch and vibe that really made the first game so special. Ape Escape 2 in the US is also oddly published by Ubisoft?
Yeah, Ubisoft? I really have no idea why Ubisoft needed to publish this game. They also ended up publishing Pumped and Primed, the Mario Party-like spin-off game on the PS2, and that was it. I tried to research as to the why, and I couldn't figure it out. This is the only games in the series that Ubisoft had a hand in, from what I can tell. I don't know, they just really like monkeys.
Despite the staff and production differences, the core gameplay and design is identical to Ape Escape 1. It still utilizes the same controls that were originally used to promote the DualShock 1 controller. Here, there isn't much difference. The benefit of playing this style of 3D platformer/adventure game on a more powerful console is nice though, and most of the design is less platform intensive than its predecessor. It feels easier to control, and I still love the rather unique control scheme of how the analog sticks work in conjunction with one another. The real question is how much of Ape Escape 2 feels like a sequel to Ape Escape 1. And in reality, it doesn't really push anything drastically new, but I view it as a continuation of the game design on more powerful hardware. It's still addicting to catch those monkeys, I mean apes. There's 300 apes to catch in this game across a staggering 20 levels, and there's even some major boss fights included. Your selection of gadgets is largely expanded too. Now included is a banana boomerang, which can attract monkeys with the scent of a banana. There's also a water cannon that puts out fires, and, most notably, a magnet that is used for a variety of puzzles, from moving blocks to defeating certain enemies, to even using it a lot in the final levels of the game to stick yourself onto moving platforms to progress. I like the magnet, but the boomerang and water gun feel a little bit lacking, as they're only used for catching a small amount of apes and progressing through some sections of levels, not utilized nearly as much as the magnet is. The story in its scope feels a bit scaled back from the first game. Instead of chasing monkeys through time, you play as a new character named Jimmy, who is Ape Escape 1 protagonist Spike's cousin, as you inadvertently send a giant shipment of monkey helmets to Monkey Park while the professor is out on vacation. Natalie tasks you with catching all the apes to fix your mistake and bring order before Spectre tries to take over the world again. And this time the major theme is apes around the world, so you get a good level variety in locations like cities, beaches, jungles, snowy mountains, and levels inspired by Japan and Spain, to name a few. What's noteworthy about the original North American release is the choice for voice acting. Jimmy is voiced by Veronica Taylor, best known as the original voice actor of Ash Ketchum, and Natalie is voiced by Rachel Lillis, best known as Misty.
I sent the professor stuff okay! Jimmy! What are you doing?
It's a little jarring hearing Ash and Misty talking about catching them all, but in this case, it not being about Pokemon. It's also of note that in Ape Escape 2, you have a little baby monkey companion named Pipachi that is basically a discount Pikachu.
Isn't it cool? Just like Pippa cheese.
Overall, I'm not sure if this was to capitalize on the marketability of Pokemon, or just to add some familiarity to a rather off-the-wall Japanese video game to make it more approachable to the American gamer. A ton of monkeys' descriptions, I'm sure, had to go through a lengthy localization process. A lot of them here reference movies like Planet of the Apes, The Matrix, and Pulp Fiction.
Royale with cheese. Royale with cheese. That's right.
A lot of the tone of Ape Escape can feel very anime in its writing and humor, and I don't mean that in a bad way. The series has never been known for its voice acting, and it is a little bit less campy here compared to the first game, but I found the story to be really underwhelming, with a lot of the story beats just following Jimmy saving a kidnapped Pipichi, and Spectre's mastermind plot not really being revealed or really shown until the end stages of the game. New to the game are the Freaky Monkey 5, a set of enhanced apes that act as boss fights. And they were fine, but I don't think this type of game really benefits from having boss fights. They're not really that challenging, and the few in the first game we had were the least memorable part of Ape Escape. And here, they're not really that much better. Kudos for making these special types of monkeys act as a sort of henchman-like group for Spectre, but I did not care for them at all. Did he just suplex a dinosaur? The rideable vehicles come back, and they are also fine. I still think it's a little finicky trying to control the vehicles, especially the tanks, with both of the sticks, but I'm just blaming myself. It's supposed to be goofy. And it wouldn't be an Ape Escape game without its share of minigames and bonus content. While the main hub before each level is rather small, just crammed into Natalie's bedroom since the lab has been destroyed, there's still a decent amount of collectibles you can get from a gacha machine. And I kinda hate these in games, but it's okay here. You spend coins you get in levels to unlock things like concept art, character photos, soundtracks, and cutscenes to enjoy, and bonus things like little comics and monkey fables, which are just popular folklore stories retold to be about monkeys. All of this is 100% optional, but it takes a lot of grinding to unlock every bonus item in the game for no real reward other than a lore drop or just some behind-the-scenes features of the game. I was only a few monkeys shy of completing the game, and I was still missing a ton of photos, concept art, and those blasted multiple-part monkey fables. 100%ing this game I don't think would be very rewarding at all, and it would be very draining to do so. But I feel like this is a type of game that you get for a kid where it's like the only game you have, so you can just replay it and play it again and again to just kind of grind out all this content, which is cool. The 3 mini-games that are here are fine. There's a soccer game that is crazy hard, like maybe I'm just bad at sports games, but good lord, I could not figure out how to do anything well. The quirky controls on top of having to coordinate a soccer team was too much, but it is a lot of content here to again emphasize the more complete package of Ape Escape 2 as a singular experience. There's also Monkey Climber, which makes you collect bananas on vines, and it's really goofy. I had a good time watching my monkey fumble around trying to grab these, but it's kind of short-lived. My favorite of the minigames was Dance Monkey Dance, a DDR-inspired rhythm game in which you use the analog sticks to tilt them in different directions as if they're the arrows in DDR coming down, and surprisingly, there's a solid amount of content in this minigame as well, with multiple songs here. It's not super in-depth, but another fun, just little thing to mess around in the game with. Alright, it's done. Please. Please. Come on. Yes. Yes. Come on, please. Yes. Yes. Yes! Let's go! To complete Ape Escape 2, it took me well over 10 hours to get almost everything, besides the aforementioned random gacha machine collectibles. I captured every monkey that I could before doing the final showdown with Spectre. After you beat the game and after credits roll, there are a few more monkeys that spawn for you to capture, and you get a New Game Plus mode in which you can play as Ape Escape 1's protagonist Spike. Like I said before, I think this is kind of the perfect game that you would get as a kid to just replay hours and hours into, because there's a lot of reward for replaying or revisiting levels. But I do also feel like there's a strange lack of polish, to put it harshly, on Ape Escape 2. There's just some minor production issues that really puzzle me. Like, I played with subtitles on, and all the subtitles are left aligned? I don't know why. And in the beginning, when it's showing the flashback of what happened with Spectre in Ape Escape 1, the footage shown is in Japanese with subtitles, so it was just kind of messy. Just feels very silly and like a weird oversight. The menus aren't really that intuitive, and they don't really need to for a game like this, but it just feels like not a lot of budget went to the presentation of Ape Escape. And that's the other thing, is that the Ape Escape series still has this specific type of charm and whimsy that I think is kind of what helps define it and make it such a unique and fun experience. And this game definitely keeps it up. One thing about Ape Escape 2 I appreciate is less of a reliance on platforming without completely throwing it away. Ape Escape 1, especially towards the end, tends to rely a bit more on the platforming aspect in conjunction with catching apes, where this game is purely all about the apes and making platforming take more of a back seat. I appreciate it because there's no large difficulty spike at the end of the game like the first one had. When Ape Escape 2 released, it received generally favorable reviews from critics, praising its addictive gameplay loop of collecting monkeys and just its overall unique feel for a platformer on the PlayStation. I feel like this is one that doesn't get talked about as much when compared to the other platformer/adventure type games for children that really defined the PS2 era, like Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Daxter, or my personal favorite, Sly Cooper. Despite all that, though, Ape Escape is something that is very unique, and something that I think has that value there. If it really hits for you, it's going to be a great time. And following Ape Escape 2, the series would see a couple of spin-off games, including the aforementioned Pumped and Primed, which is a Mario Party-like party game, Ape Escape Academy for the PSP, which is a collection of mini-games where you play as the apes themselves, and a full-on remake of the first Ape Escape, now titled On the Loose, also released for the PlayStation Portable. All of these predate the next and final main installment of the series, Ape Escape 3. And who could forget EyeToy Monkey Mania, the hit Ape Escape title released for the ever-so-popular PlayStation EyeToy camera, which I forgot existed until this moment. All in all, Ape Escape 2 really succeeds its predecessor at being a bigger Ape Escape game, but I'm not sure if it's a better Ape Escape game. Controls and visuals are improved, and there's much more of a variety of the levels. The magnet gadget was fun, and everything they brought over from the first game feels right at home and maintained a great level of fun with a lot of core content and apes to catch. The other new gadgets, lackluster story, and some areas that lack polish do bring it down a bit, but bottom line is that it's more of the same Ape Escape fun. I think there was a bit of a struggle to really innovate the core gameplay as a sequel, but also, I don't think that was really the idea to reinvent it either. Currently, if you're looking to play Ape Escape 2, you can get the original PS2 release for around $60 complete, which I think is a bit much, but you are getting a good game in a really unique series. On a platform that has plenty of similar games, none really hit that sweet spot the same exact way.
That's the spirit.
And that is Ape Escape 2. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends if you think they would also get really into video games about catching monkeys, like I do. But until next time, take care, have a nice day.